everybody needs something, and to be able to identify or have a way to identify what that need is and be able to be diagnostic and prescriptive in how we respond could make a huge difference. It may take a little time up front, but in the long run, it's better for that student and for everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Veronica Lake. Veronica is the Executive Director of Student Services at Kentwood Public Schools in Kentwood, Michigan, which I learned is right outside of Grand Rapids, where my son had lived for 4 years. So there you go. So neighbors, we're just about neighbors, Veronica. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to join you today.
Absolutely. Tell us the amazing things that are happening at Kentwood Public.
Oh, thank you. Kentwood Public Schools is, like you said, right outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. We are a district that is working towards that excellence and equity in education. We're really proud of that work. We are a district of about 9,600 students, pre-K through 12. So we are considered a relatively large district for this area. We are number 4 in the state, in the country. I'm sorry, about number 4 to number 6 in the country when it comes to diversity. We are number 1 in the state of Michigan when it comes to our diversity. So we have students from all over the world. It's one of the things that we're most proud of. And we definitely work really hard to make sure that we're uplifting just sort of that global cultural experience as we learn from our students and we learn from our families here in community. So our diversity is one of the things that we're most proud of. Over the past probably 3.5 years, we've been into the implementation of our strategic plan. And one of my primary areas of work within our strategic plan is related to what we call whole child initiatives or whole child environment. During our strategic plan, during our strategic planning time, we worked very closely with our community, with our students, with our staff to identify those things that were most important to us based on the data. Based on what we were seeing with achievement, based on what we were seeing with culture and climate. And again, coming out of those times of COVID where students had extended periods of time when they weren't in school, recognizing that the mental health and well-being of our students was one of the things that our strategic planning committee felt was extremely important. And so we really leaned into that. Our student voices themselves let us know that, sometimes they were struggling with just how to reacclimate to school or how to celebrate who they are as individuals, and then having us uplift that. And so we really leaned into that whole child environment. And so one of our strategic goals within that strategic plan, and we're now 3 years into a 5-year plan, was to enhance that unified school culture and climate. And through that, some of our practices were related to, I would call them like 4 priorities when it came to our culture and climate. One, we want to make sure that kids feel happy, safe, engaged in any environment that they're in school. So learning time, being able to connect with each other, being able to build strong relationships among staff, students, community is very, very important to us here in Kentwood Public Schools. And so we have 4, I would call them, whether they're pillars, priorities within the whole child. One of those social emotional learning, knowing how to, who you are as an individual and how you use your gifts, and to recognize how we develop our friendships, how we maintain our friendships, how we're holding ourselves accountable and responsible for things. Those are skills we're going to need forever, right?
Yeah, of course.
You and I both know, in the work.
Yeah.
Those are things that we In order to be gainfully employed and to thrive, whether you're in college or in a career, you have to know who you are and know how to adjust who you are to be successful. Another one of those is capturing kids' hearts. And so within the school environment, we want kids to feel welcome, right? And so those are some of the strategies that we use to engage with students and develop those relationships. PBIS, so positive behavior intervention and supports, which I mean we hear that nationally, and it's not new. That's been around.
Yeah.
As a school community, how are we to engage with each other as a school community so that we're safe, so that our voices are heard, so that we learn from each other, and so our PBIS structures are, around that building of community and operating and working safely together. And then we know we're in any community, we're going to have challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Within that school community, when we're having challenges, we use restorative practices proactively to develop our relationships, but also when things happen, how do we re-engage, or how do we communicate with each other so that we learn from that experience and that we're able to move on? So we utilize restorative circles for that. We utilize those circles are, whether it's community building, whether it's getting to know someone, whether it is beginning to work through challenges we may have had together, separating the deed from the doer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Good. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so students
Absolutely.
need to do that, but also as adults, we do too, because we may have disagreements and things like that. And so the focus there is making sure that we're able to heal and continue to build on those positive relationships that we are engaged in.
Yeah.
So those are some of the big things that we're working on here in Kentwood.
Very cool. So how come you're such a diverse school? What brings that? I mean, I think it's really cool, and I'm just curious about how did Kentwood become where it is today?
So that's a good question. I think Greater Grand Rapids has had, a lot of diversity, and we've had lots of, whether it's been our Christian Reformed churches or other organizations who have had families move in from areas as refugees,
Okay.
and they've, found
Settled, right?
found homes here or found placement here in this community. So we literally have students from African countries, from Bosnian country, from Bosnia, from all over. We have a lot of Asian students as well. So we are very well, when we say diverse population, I mean, literally we are, if you walk into our high schools, opening area, you'll see flags representing hundreds of nations. And we're
Nice.
really proud of that. And we've leaned into it. And I think it makes our students have that sense of belonging. They learn from each other. They're
Yeah.
supportive of each other. So it's just a natural thing for them.
Yeah. And it's such an opportunity to see the world from a different view, from a different viewpoint, seeing what we had when my kids were in high school, we had two foreign exchange students. They actually were sisters. We had one, and then 5 years later we got our sister. Unfortunately, she was the younger one was with us during 2020, so she only got to stay until March, and then she had to go home. But they were from Japan, and it was so fun. We learned so much about the Japanese culture, about, how they live versus how we live. And, just it was, and we were in Michigan. And they went to Leslie High School in Leslie, Michigan. And so it was really amazing, just the experience. So I can imagine having all of these different opportunities for your students to get to know other students and to learn from each other is so great. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's the norm, I believe, for our students. They really embrace each other, and I really think it's helped develop them for who they're going to be in the future. Collaboration and relationships with each other that last well beyond their years here in school, and it's more reflective of the world. And
right.
to be able to continue to develop and help cultivate those experiences with our students.
And technology is making the world smaller and smaller. We have more access than we ever have. You remember when we graduated, Veronica? I was just like, it was not. I'm assuming you and I are close to the same age, but I'm guessing. But it was not this. It was definitely not this.
Definitely was not this, but it's also amazing, right? So, like for my family that lives out of the country, we're able to, just figure out what the time frame is, and we're able to talk with each other. We're able to get on, Zoom and do family events from afar. Kids and grandkids are able to play games and things like that with each other. So it is very different than it was certainly when I was a child.
Yeah. Yeah. I graduated from high school. We had our 40th high school reunion this summer. I did not go. But I was like, 40 years. Where the heck did 40 years go?
I don't know.
I don't know. But we're still here. We're still working in education, still loving on kids. Yeah.
Still loving on kids, still supporting families, and still just learning from each other.
Yeah.
To continue to be able to do those things. So another component that we felt was really important too was we worked through this, what we call a multi-tier system of support.
MTSS, yes. Mm-hmm.
MTSS, absolutely. Every educator, you know about it, you've heard of it. But really thinking about what that world-class research-based instructional model thing kind of looks like, but not just for instruction, but really through the lens of almost everything we do. What is our foundational piece, and then who needs a little bit more, and then who needs a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really just trying to work through those and putting some systems and things like that in place to be able to support that on the academic side as well as behaviorally. We're working through that with attendance as well right now because, nationally, I think everybody has suffered from what attendance looked like prior to the pandemic. And all of us are still trying to figure out what is that pathway back to stronger attendance after having experienced all that we've experienced through the pandemic. It's definitely work. Chronic absenteeism is definitely challenging for us as well as other districts throughout the state and probably many in the nation. We read a lot about it all the time. So we even look at those strategies through a multi-tiered system of support. One, we want to acknowledge and support that everybody needs to be here. We work to make this place a place where every student feels that they belong here through some of those relationship building activities that we do and just who we are, right? Just who we want to be as an organization, welcoming, opening, identifying what the needs are, and then finding a way to resolve or a way to support when we know that there are additional needs in place.
So are you usually utilizing counselors or social workers? How does that, what's the structure of something like that?
Yeah, good question. So those foundational things, like school counseling, we do have school counselors for sure. We have school social workers. We, over the past 2 years, have also developed a team that can be more responsive when there's a pretty significant mental health need.
Crisis.
Some more crisis because we've had some. We've had some pretty significant crises with regards to mental health over the last couple of years. So we've had to develop a structure that could support that. And also to do professional development with staff so that they can recognize the signs. We heard that from our students. We use our student voice data to help us identify where we need to put some particular attention. So through the strategic plan, and then again through the Michigan student voice surveys, we were able to identify that our students are struggling with mental health.
What if every student could work with a therapist who brings not just credentials, but years of experience and wisdom to the table? At Lighthouse Therapy, most of our therapists have over 16 years of real-world experience. We don't just fill seats. Instead, we find therapists who've seen it all and know how to help. And every new therapist is paired with a mentor to help them guide them every step of the way. Whether through virtual, hybrid, or in-person delivery, your students are getting services that's thoughtful, experienced, and genuinely human. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn more. Yeah.
And
It's not new. It's not surprising. It's not surprising. It's sad. It's sad that it's not surprising.
it's very sad. It's very sad. And then, not knowing or wanting to make sure that they have tools in their hands or know how to reach out when there is a need for something. So we are fortunate to have been able to put at least one social worker in every school. And now we know, the social workers do have a population of students with disabilities that they serve. However, they are able to, we've been able to, by putting one in every school, it keeps them from having to jump from place to place. And we're able to build capacity within schools for some of the more preventative strategies.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Staff support, but then certainly as a frontline person, when students are struggling. And so we've had to do a lot of training there with screeners and then we have a support team at the district level that is able to come in and support when we need to do more of like a behavior threat assessment.
Yeah, and those aren't scheduled. You can't schedule those, can you?
Thank you. Could you say that again? They are not scheduled.
They are not scheduled.
They are not scheduled. That's a stop, drop, and do something right now.
Right now. I've had people that have been scheduled for the podcast and they're like, we had a crisis. And I was like, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. Because you have to, you just don't, that's not something that you can, we wouldn't want them scheduled anyway. We'd prefer to not have them at all, but they're definitely not scheduled. So.
They're definitely not scheduled. They really are not. And when you have one or two kind of happening simultaneously, that makes it even challenging. But that's where we utilize our community partnerships. So a lot of our the implementation of our whole child initiatives also is inclusive of our partnerships because we're not in this alone and we know we can't handle this alone. So we have purposefully developed some really strong partnerships with organizations in our community that can help support in the crisis, but also can start, providing some wraparound support to those families beyond the crisis or prior to, trying to.
Let's keep them out of the crisis, right? Yeah. Right. We see a crisis, let identify it before it becomes a crisis. Yeah. And I love to hear that you guys are doing that because somewhere along the road, schools have become the safe place, the warm place, the place where they get fed, the place where they get clothing and just all of these things. And we become this social network instead of just the place where kids, and I get it. I understand why it happens because you have to have all of those main needs met before you can even consider learning, right? You have to feel safe and warm and fed and comfortable and loved and all of those things. And schools across the nation have embraced those. And sometimes it's impossible, but we keep doing it. Keep stepping into it. And the fact that you recognize that we've got to have community partners around us. We can't do this alone is so critical. And I love hearing that. So kudos to you guys.
Conditions for learning. So if we want high levels of learning to occur, then that means that we need to be prepared for high levels of support because different people need different things. And so that's really important to us that with those conditions are in place, not only am I safe, I have someone that I can go to for this or that, but not in the place of learning, but so that we are able to learn at higher levels and so that we have the support that we need to be able to fully engage academically. And so that part is really important. And it is also probably one of the most challenging things to keep in place.
Yeah.
Because funding and budgets and all of that. But hopefully, what we're doing is we're building capacity among most staff, so that it's not one or two people that are handling these challenges all the time, but
Right.
so that many more of us can get hands in when we need it, or more of us know how to recognize challenges, and supporting parents and sharing some of these strategies with parents so that they too are able to engage and recognize a little bit more when things are becoming challenging for our students. And our kids today have a lot of things on their plates,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a lot of things on their
Yeah.
plates. And adults do too,
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of things on our plates. And so the more we can at least provide an avenue to a pathway that could support them, I think that's the right work
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. Get them to the place where they can learn. And yeah, because as a speech therapist, they come into your room, and even remotely, like what I've been doing since 2011, um, the second that they log in, all my lesson plans just went right out the window because there's a crisis going on here, and we need to talk about that because there's no point. There's absolutely no point. If you've got something horrible that happened in your life, let's talk about that and get you back to where you feel okay. Because I'm not a counselor, obviously. I'm not licensed as a counselor, but everybody has to recognize it. Like you're talking about professional development, it's the same kind of thing for us as well. And do I need to make a referral to an actual counselor? Is this just a one-time, you know, whatever, something happened at home, and I lost my doll at the park and mom couldn't find it, so whatever. I mean, and that's like a little tiny thing, but it matters to that 5-year-old that dolly is gone, right? So
It certainly matters. I think also too, you hit on something, right? We don't think of speech pathologists in that way. However, you are able to help students get the language that they
mm-hmm.
need in order to
Yeah.
communicate how they're feeling, right? Where someone else may be just looking at, you know, outwardly at the behaviors and all of those things, but there's certainly a role there where, yeah, so maybe you were supposed to be doing some speech therapy, but
Yeah.
maybe part of that therapy was helping them to be able to identify ways to communicate how I'm feeling.
Yeah, give them the words. Yeah, just
Give
give them
them
the words. Yeah,
the
communication.
absolutely. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And it's so funny in therapy, in the therapy world, it just crosses over. It's something I learned early on as an SLP was that, I do this and then I see counseling and I see handwriting and I see, and so OTs and SLPs kind of cross over in one way and OTs and PTs cross over in another way. And, counselors and OTs, it just is, it's a team. It takes a team. It takes a
It
team.
takes a team, and not just with students that are identified as special education. Like if I were going to reshape the world, right? My vision is that we are able to utilize those expertise in that tier one setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a building principal, when I was a principal 1,000 years ago, one of the things I thought was extremely important was to have our speech path do lessons in our kindergarten and first grade classrooms at least once a week. That language development piece was
Mm-hmm.
extremely important. Um, Forget about the role pragmatics plays in helping
Oh, yeah.
identify
Yeah.
like those social cues.
Yeah.
That's something we probably miss a lot, but we miss it because we so often are like our speech pathologists are tied to the schedule around helping students who are identified, and that's extremely important. However, in order to prevent sometimes some of those other things, it'd be nice to be able to have more of our support services, speech language, OT, PT, front load some of those things in our early grades
Mm-hmm.
so that we start giving kids the tools or helping teachers identify some of those, some of the things that may be happening that we might be able to do some intervention and help
Yeah.
adjust early on so that we don't need those services
Yeah.
later.
Keep them off of an IEP. That goes back to the MTSS that you were talking about before. It's the same thing. It's like identify kids that are at risk for a language delay or already have an articulation delay. That's so evident when they first come in. And can we get good response to intervention, if I can go back to an RTI, right? And then give them some of that support early so they don't need an IEP later. And that's it, and sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, but it's such I really have been a big cheerleader of MTSS because it is so critical. And there's so many different ways that you can address, tiers of support, whether it's in OT or speech or mental health or reading or whatever. Take a subject, right? And then it just takes money, right? That's all we need, Veronica, is a big old pile of money somewhere. It's so funny because I always ask the question, what would, if you could miraculously change one thing, and you answered it before I even asked the question. So, and that's it. It's so true. We just, and the love that we have for those kids and what we want for them. And it's just, we do everything that we can within the parameters that we are given. So I love what you guys are doing.
Everybody needs something. And to be able to identify or have a way to identify what that need is and be able to be diagnostic and prescriptive in how we respond could make a huge difference. It may take a little time up front, but in the long run, it's better for that student and for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids don't want to be bad. They don't intentionally be bad. They don't. And I've said that a million times on the show also. I love that because that's not when I was taught in college. It was, how do you deal with behaviors? It wasn't what's the underlying cause of the behavior. It was just, how do we deal with behaviors? And that 180-degree turn has been so powerful for kids and for education, because now what's causing it? I love my BCBA and ABA therapy for that very reason.
Those two. I think those need to be in every kindergarten, first grade class.
Yeah, if you can figure out what's happening and why it's I have a really good friend in Michigan who's got his BCBA, his master's. He's a BCBA, and we've had many conversations about kids and behavior plans and implementation, and and it goes across the board. So yeah, very, very cool. So. Beautiful conversation, Veronica. Thank you so much. Where do people go to learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing, and maybe just check out your website? Where do they go?
Definitely. You could check out our website on kentwoodps.org. And you can certainly look up our strategic plan. We have our dashboard is actually live. We are accountable to our community. So you can see how we're making progress towards those goals and initiatives that we've set throughout. There are 4 of our broader ones. I've only talked about one, which is whole child, but we have culture of excellence. We've got, culture of excellence. There's equitable opportunities and outcomes, whole child, and then high impact staff. Those are our 4 big initiatives, our strategic plan goals. I apologize.
No, you're all right.
Yeah. And we have a dashboard on our website where you can follow our progress.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Veronica. It's been lovely to talk to you. The passion for the kids is there. We know that. I love that. I love that you have that. I see it. And the kids are brighter because we're brighter together, right? That's why we're the Brighter Together podcast, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We're all struggling with the same thing. We all probably have a lot of triumphs in the same way. But thank you for this platform, because it allows us to share with each other. I've had an opportunity to look at some of your other podcasts, and I can certainly go, oh wow, yeah, those are some of the same experiences.
And I've said that on the show before too. I love educators because they are so willing to give and to share their knowledge with others. There's no competition. It's not like, I want to hide this because it's my thing. No, it's like, because we all realize that if we're having success, we want to share it with somebody else. Oh, that gives me chills, because because we want to share with others. We want people, that's just, I'm a Christian, and that's the kingdom way. That's the kingdom way. So, and I love that I see that all the time through the love that you guys have for your kids, and the willingness to be open and share with others. So thank you so much.
Thank you for creating the opportunity and for letting me share.
All right. Have
All
a
right.
great school year.
I will. Thank you.